You don't miss him the way you think you do. You miss the version of him your mind kept saving from the truth. The softer version, the warmer version, the version that made the pain harder to believe. That is why this has been so hard to put down. That's what made this so hard to put down. He wasn't cold all the time. He gave you just enough warmth to make the distance feel confusing. One soft conversation, one look that felt honest, one moment where he seemed open, present, almost there. And your mind held on to that version like it meant the rest of him would catch up. So even after the hurt, even after the silence, even after the way you were left carrying more than he ever did, part of you still returned to those moments. Not because you were weak, because your mind was still trying to finish the story in a way your heart could survive. You told yourself you missed him, but a deeper part of you was missing what almost happened. The version of him who seemed like he could love you right. The version of you who still believed that if you stayed steady, patient, understanding, this would finally turn into something safe. And that's why the ache stayed. Because the truth did not break cleanly. It split in two. There was the man who made you feel uncertain, and the version of him your hope kept protecting. So you'd check your phone, feel that small drop in your chest, and hate that he could still do that to you. Not because you wanted the pain back, because some part of you was still waiting for the good version to explain the rest. That was the first cost. You were not only losing him, you were losing peace to a memory that kept editing out what it took from you. You were not holding on to nothing. That would have been easier. You were holding on to the parts that felt unfinished. That's why missing him kept coming in waves. It was never only about the man who disappointed you. It was about the moments that made your pain harder to trust. The way he could be gentle when you were about to give up. The way one honest night could make you believe he finally saw you. The way a little closeness could erase weeks of distance for just long enough to restart your hope. And your hope was not foolish. It was trying to make emotional sense of something that never stayed still. When someone hurts you clearly, your heart can begin to leave. But when someone gives you small pieces of what you need, your mind starts building a future out of fragments. It says, maybe that version was the real one. Maybe he's just scared. Maybe this is turning. Maybe I shouldn't walk away too soon. So you stayed close to the memory of who he could be, because that version felt emotionally unfinished inside you. You were not chasing fantasy. You were trying to get back to the moment before the truth became painful. That's what made the bond so hard to loosen. The good moments did not last long, but they lasted long enough to keep reopening the story. And you could feel yourself doing it, replaying the better conversations, protecting the softer version of him, letting one warm memory speak louder than 10 cold patterns. You missed him, yes, but you also missed the relief of believing this might still become what you needed. That was the hope that kept you close. Not that the pain was imaginary, that the good version still felt reachable. The cost was not only that he hurt you. The cost was that your mind kept remembering him in a way that made the hurt harder to hold. You'd think of one good moment and feel your body soften before your memory caught up with the truth. A message you reread. A night that felt real. The sound of his voice when he was warm. And for a few seconds, you were not remembering the full story. You were remembering the part that let you breathe. Then the rest would hit. The distance, the confusion, the way you were always the one carrying the meaning of what happened. That is what made this so exhausting. You were grieving someone who was never fully there, while also feeling ashamed that you still missed him at all. You could feel the contradiction inside you. Part of you knew what it cost. Another part still protected the version of him that hurt you less to remember. So the pain became quiet, but constant. You checked your phone without meaning to. You started to miss him at the worst times, in ordinary moments, when your guard was down, folding clothes, lying in bed, driving home. And then came that private humiliation. How can I still miss someone who made me feel this alone? But your mind was not trying to betray you. It was trying to reduce the shock. It kept returning to the gentler memories because the full truth was heavier than you were ready to carry all at once. That's why you kept editing the story in your head. Not to lie to yourself, to survive it. Still, it cost you. It cost you clarity. It cost you peace. It made you homesick for a version of love that only appeared in pieces. And every time you missed him gently, you had to fight the urge to forget what it took from you. The change did not happen when you stopped missing him. It happened when you stopped treating missing him like a reason to return. Because longing can be honest. It can rise in your chest without asking your permission. It can make you remember the warmth before you remember the wound. But that does not mean it is leading you somewhere safe. Sometimes it is only showing you what still hurts. That was the quiet line you had to learn. You could miss him and still tell the truth. You could feel the pull and still remember the pattern. You could let the softer memories pass through you without turning them into permission. That is dignity. Not pretending you feel nothing. Not arguing with your own heart. Just refusing to let one lonely moment erase what repeated itself over and over. So the limit became internal. Not dramatic, not loud. You stopped turning ache into access. You stopped reopening the door every time memory made him feel gentle again. You stopped asking your pain to prove itself one more time before you believed it. And that mattered. Because before that, every wave of missing him could pull you back into confusion. One memory. And suddenly, you were explaining him again, softening the truth again, wondering if maybe this time you could handle it differently. But the truth was never that you needed to handle it better. The truth was that it kept costing you to stay available to someone who could only meet you in pieces. This is where something steadier begins. You miss him, and you do not move toward him. You feel the ache, and you do not build a future around it. You let the feeling be real without letting it make decisions for you. And then, little by little, something returns to you. Not because the past suddenly stops mattering, not because you forced yourself not to care, but because you finally stop handing your inner life over to a story that kept taking more than it gave. You stop needing the good version of him to come back and explain everything. You stop needing the ending to feel beautiful before you let yourself leave it behind. You stop asking memory to turn pain into meaning just so you can carry it more gracefully. And in that space, you begin to feel yourself again. Your mind gets quieter. Your chest is not bracing all the time. You reach for your phone less. You laugh without that shadow behind it. You wake up, and for a few seconds, he is not the first thing there. That matters more than it sounds, because peace does not usually return all at once. It returns in small, honest ways. What comes back is not hardness. It is your steadiness, your own warmth, your ability to remember someone without disappearing into what almost happened. You still know he mattered. You still know the good moments were real, but they are no longer allowed to speak louder than the full truth. And that is the dignity in this. You are not leaving him behind because the ache was fake. You are leaving him where he belongs because the ache is no longer in charge. You can miss him and still protect your peace. You can remember him and still keep your life. What comes back to you is the part that no longer needs the story to end differently, to finally be free.